get away from me if you're bad at things. If you get bad at comedy, Wayne, I will drop you off this podcast. Open mic pain with Anthony and Anthony.
Next comic, give it loud for everybody for Anthony Eugenio. We're gonna have the next comic. Very funny. Wayne Russell, everybody.
Welcome to the Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne podcast.
Hi, everybody. This is the next episode. Okay? This is going to be really jarring because this is a week out. But this is part 2 of how to book a show, where we're now going to tell you how the show that we booked at the H.E. Fletcher Club in Westford, the Fordest of West, Massachusetts, went. And with me, as always, in the same color shirt he wore last week, as well as mine. How you doing, buddy?
Good. My hair didn't grow either.
I know. Listen,
Obviously.
we were talking about Matrix of Time a lot before, how we record before the show comes out, and so we're kind of living in the future while recording in the past. Well, I'm in England right now, technically. So we're doing all kinds of weird shit to get this podcast out on time for you guys. So we decided to do a 2-parter because I'm not going to record this in England because Wayne will either have to get up at 1 in the morning or I'll have to get up at 1 in the morning. And I'm going to be just either getting in a fight with a man at a bar about cricket. And it's called The Pub over there. And I'm going to get mad at him because he's going to try to mush-mouth explain to me the rules of cricket. And I don't get it. I don't get how it works. Doesn't matter how many times you explain it, Reginald. I don't fucking understand it. And Wayne's going to be jacking off in his room alone at 1 a.m. So we're busy.
Depends on what day it is.
You're a 7-day or weaker.
I'm on a schedule.
Do you keep fucking like Chick-fil-A? You don't work on Sundays?
I do not work on Sundays.
All right. So if you listen to the last episode, which you have to in order to listen to this one, don't just listen to this one. This would be very dumb if you do, because we're just going to talk about the show that we did and how practically it went. And it kind of ties into the stuff we talked about last week, which was how we physically booked the show. So first, we already talked about how our talent did, and they did fantastic. We mentioned them, listened to their names last time, but it's Chef Phil, Kaylee, Carlos, E, Justin, Jacques, Wayne. That was the lineup for it. It was such a solid fucking lineup. Now, when our show starts at 7, why did we pick 7? The show starts at 8, and our doors open at 7. We picked that particular time because we're aiming for a 21 plus group somewhere between the 25 and 60 age bracket. And the best time to do that is that time of night, because you go too early, you're going to get some oldies, go too late, you're going to get only younger people and sparser crowd.
Then we wanted it darker.
Yeah, practically it is nice for it to be darker when they have windows too. So all those reasons are good. Yeah, that's a good point. We do the Merrimack Biergarten, and which I love doing. However, they have windows all over that bitch. And when you do the show and the lights are out, it does kind of wash out your spotlight. Like we talked about in the last episode, you want your spotlight to be in the dark. But if we have doors at 7, we want to be in the venue at 5:30 to 5:45. Do you agree, Wayne?
Yeah. Especially when you're handling tickets and such. You want to have time to set up, make sure everything works right, everything is set up properly, because people are going to start walking in when the doors open, and you don't want to have to run around and try to figure out who you did and didn't get. So it worked out that you got there at 5, and I met you there at 5 to set up, and then I left and came back for 7 o'clock, and as soon as the doors opened, people were walking in, and I was able to just focus on that.
Now, we go to a lot of shows where the doors will open at 7 and they'll show up at 6:40. And they do that to just get in there before people go in to count tickets. And then they set up the show while people are trickling in. I believe that's a mistake. I think that people should walk into the venue. This is something I learned from Bill Simus at Funny for Funds, which is a fantastic company, fundraisers. They have them all over. They've raised a cajillion dollars for all kinds of people. Check them out. But Bill told me that Funny for Funds likes to make sure that before anybody comes into the room for the show, that every piece of production is set up. because you want to go in and, like a concert venue, you know, they usually have the lights going in the background, the sign of the band behind it, all that set up when you walk in. They're not having roadies out there setting shit up on stage because it kind of takes away from the aura of what you're trying to make in there. You know, you're not going to make it conducive to a cool show. So I think it's best if you can set it up before the doors open. Get it in there so people are comfortable. That's going to really help you out later on when the show starts.
That and something you don't know because you haven't been to either of the shows, but once the doors open or I'm done setting up or whatever, I have music playing. I try to make it like a real production. There's something going on at all times. I have a playlist on my phone. Excuse me, where I just let that go. So there's at least some sort of entertainment going on.
Yeah.
While we're checking in and people are getting drinks and this and that.
Yeah,
So,
get yourself a PA with Bluetooth capability. That's a great idea as well because it's nice.
Yeah. The other thing I've done the last two shows. I don't know if I've told you that. I don't know if we might have it on video. I don't know. But right before the host, which has been Jacques both times, I shut the lights down, spotlight on, our theme music hits while Jacques walking up and the applause are going, and then I fade it out as he starts. Just a little touch that I love.
Love it. See that's the production that you'll get with OMP, folks, if you book us at your show. But yeah, no, little things like that, music going in the background before the show starts. That's getting people excited. They're drinking, they're talking. And also a little bit of music could get somebody, instead of like not shutting the fuck up to their friends and creating these long conversations because they're trying to fill in the sound, they might just vibe a little bit, baby. They might just back and forth, which is exactly what you want. You want to cut the sound and have them looking for attention because you're going to give it to them and then they're going to be locked into you. If they're just talking the whole time and then you start talking, you're interrupting them now. Now you're fucking interrupting them. And it's harder to get people to get on your side. They call the first position in a show bullet for a reason. It's because you take the bullet. It's because most people aren't paying attention when you first go up and you have to slowly get them to get your attention. It takes multiple jokes. That's why it sucks so bad to do it. You know, and that's what a host works for in these type of shows. If you do your part in creating the vibe in the show, that's how Hal calls it, friend of the show. I can't call her a piece of shit. She's way too nice for that. But she told me that the show has to have a vibe beforehand. You got to put on a good playlist and get people excited. And I was like, you're a hippie. And then eventually I realized that she was correct. She was a correct hippie.
She knows what she's talking about. Yeah. I'm really into the idea of just creating the whole feeling, as Jen calls it, the vibe. I'm all about that. I think it makes a huge difference from just being silent to somebody on stage going, "Here I am." You know, when you get the music going and then it quiets down, or you have a different song playing louder and lights go off, it's also a mental cue of, okay, shit's happening. Focus.
Now, as a showrunner, if you have a host on the show already, like we have with Jacques, a lot of showrunners who are also on the show are just going to kind of go kick it in the back and set the host is doing the work for you during the show. Might as well go hang out in the green room and enjoy yourself. Wrong, you lazy piece of shit. Don't do that. Get out there and work. And what we mean by that is keep your eyes open on the crowd. You know, you might have some good information for the other comics that are up there about, you know, how the crowd's looking, what the demographic is, all that stuff. But also, you need to shut down hecklers when they happen. Did you have a heckler at the show?
We did. Not so much. I mean, by definition, yes, heckler, but they weren't.
If you disrupt the show, you're a heckler.
Yeah, they disrupted the show. A couple guys were very drunk and they were sitting in the front, and so being the showrunner, I was in the back and I was taking pictures and doing things that I felt necessary to help show how the show went at the end. And I didn't see them, but Justin came up to me and was like, "Hey, those guys are being fucking obnoxious." So I started walking up to kick them out, and I saw my father-in-law was at the show too. He was walking away from them, so I went up to him real quick. I was like, "Hey, these guys being like bad?" And he was like, "Oh, fuck that! They're fucking being wicked loud." I was just about to stand up and go, tell him to cut it out, and the bartender actually stomped up and said, "Hey, get the fuck out of here." I was like, "Oh, geez, thank you." So they walked to the back, and I went back to taking pictures and stuff, and then they were standing behind me talking, and I turned around, I was like, "Guys, like, there's a hole outside, you can do that. Go away." And the bartender came back over, she's like, "Hey, I told you to get the fuck out." I was like, "Okay, right, thank you, appreciate the help." But yeah, that's something you definitely want to take care of that, because the people on stage are going to like severely appreciate that. They were doing that during Chef's set, and he came up to me after. He's like, "Hey, thanks for taking care of that," and it means a lot. And if you've ever been on stage and you've had people disrupting your set, you know it sucks. It sucks. So you need to make sure you're paying attention and getting it taken care of. Which I will say I was not. I was taking pictures and doing things like that. I didn't catch it, but luckily Justin did notice it and brought it to my attention.
Yes, and really important that if you don't have a spine like Wayne, you're just completely missing it in the center of your body, and you're supported by, I don't know, Jenga blocks? Jenga blocks. I don't know. It's got to be Jenga blocks. Then it's key that there is a bartender there who does have a spine, who will yell at those people and tell them, "Get the fuck out of here." Because bartenders have this incredible ability to not care about human beings. And it's so nice. Like, I really like when people act like that, because you don't deserve it when you're being an asshole like that. You deserve to get kicked out of this goddamn venue. So I'm glad that happened to them, even though I don't know them.
Yeah, it was. The thing with that is people are paying money to see a show. They don't need it to be disrupted. And then the person on stage is trying to do their shit without being disrupted. Nobody likes a heckler. We've talked about that before. Mm-hmm. So it's a win-win for everybody when those people are shut down.
It does. Now, this particular show came in at an hour and 20 minutes.
No, it was more than that. We started a little bit late. We started about 8:10. I think we were done by like 9. It was about an hour and a half. 9:45.
So my advice to anybody starting a show is your show needs to be an hour and a half or less. Hour and 15 to hour 10, you might be undercutting them a little bit. So the sweet spot, hour 20 to hour 30. Go see your famous comedian in a theater. They're doing an hour, opener's doing 20. If they have two openers, one's doing 10, one's doing 20. So you're always getting that level of show, and there's a reason behind it. Outstanding are festivals where it's an all-day event, so you're kind of, what you're getting into. But if you go to a standard comedy show and you start getting over an hour and a half, people get tired of the format. This is as long as we can keep them. You're going to really fuck over the headliner or the later comics if you stretch it past an hour and a half. So just try to stay in that ballpark. Definitely learn that. Man, shows can drag.
Again, the other thing people have, especially if you start late, which most of these things they do start late because people are still getting their drinks and stuff like that. But people also get babysitters. They pay them by the hour. So it's definitely a thing you want to be aware of.
Yeah, I do notice some showrunners a little nonchalant about the shows that they have. I do think it's worth mentioning that think about your patrons' lives when you're creating the show. Like Wayne said, most of these people, if they have kids, they're hiring babysitters to come out, get in a car, spend their whole day structured around this, plan for weeks to come see you. You need to put on the show. Give them what they're expecting. Don't compromise on it. Don't have something break down and say like, we'll be fine with that. Go get the thing. Either have a replacement, be ready for it. That's why you get there at 5:30 if you have an 8 o'clock shows, because you will have time to fix those things. If you don't plan for what could happen, it's all going to happen on top of you. Now, most times you show up to venues, they're going to set up the venue for you before you get there. And a lot of the time they're going to set it up incorrectly. Don't you agree, Wayne?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest things that you can do to set yourself up for success is setting up the seats and the tables in the proper way. So you want people to be close to the stage, close together. You don't want people spread out all over the place because laughter is contagious. We talked about this with Alana Foden, right? Laughter goes backwards. So you want people nice and close, up in the front, and let that wave of laughter just go back. If you let the venue set up the seats and stuff, it could be every which way.
It always is every which way. They fuck up.
Yeah.
Like we've never had one where we're like perfect.
Yeah. And another good thing too to keep in mind is we have a bunch of reserve signs, right? So set up reserve signs in the back, so people aren't sitting there. They move forward and just remove them as you need them, so you can kind of herd them like cattle.
Huge pro tip here. This is huge. You have to do this. Print out reserve signs. Put them on the tables in the back if you have less than capacity sold. Because if you don't, everybody sits in the back first and they work their way forward. And then you're going to start your show and half the crowd is going to be missing in front of you. So 2 ways to do that. You could seat them. I like that. I think that that's worth to do if you have the time and the people there. Seating people and saying you come over here and sit down is, I think, the best way, because you really can just you fill up the front first and you kind of work your way back and you can do it. But also putting reserve signs so that people don't take it upon themselves to sit in a place they're not supposed to. Set them up everywhere you don't want them to be, because you just take the reserve signs off when the right people come in. And no one will complain because they don't know maybe that table was reserved for those people that just took it. So shut your mouth. Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, one of the things people are very scared about sitting in the front because see all these videos online of crowd work comics and stuff.
Yeah.
So one thing I was doing when I was taking tickets, I was telling everybody, one, thank you for coming, we appreciate it. There's the bar, sit wherever you'd like. The closer you are, the more fun you're going to have. We have no crowd work comics, so you're not going to get picked on. Which might have been a lie. I don't know. Chef might have had something. I haven't seen all of his stuff. He might have had something. I don't know. But for the most part, I knew that probably wasn't going to happen. And I think that kind of lets people know, like, okay, we're good.
Yeah, I went to the Comedy Cellar in New York, and when you are picking your seats when you go in, they do seat you, but they have 2 versions of seating you. They go, if you're afraid of the front, pick this ticket. If you're not afraid of the front, pick this ticket. And they would just set you up. If you said you weren't afraid of the front, you'd be in the first couple rows and all that. And I'll tell you, at the Cellar, if you were in the front row, you were getting talked to. That was going to happen to you. Which is interesting to think, there's only 5 comics on, and every one of them fucked with somebody in the front row in the beginning of their set. Which there is something with the people are trying to get crowd work now. They just are, because they're not for their set, but they're trying to get the clips to post online to go viral to move forward. So in New York, it's all of them are just trying to get that moment,
Yeah, I mean, and it makes sense. It does make sense. But
I hate it though.
Yeah, because not everybody's good at crowd work.
It's the world that we live in, though, where I wonder if talent is, for instance, like networking. So key to doing this, right? Getting shows, all that kind of stuff. But if you're just really, really good at stand-up, methods say that you're gonna, like, the history says that you will slowly, slower than if you network good, but you will work your way up. The cream will rise to the top. You're just gonna crush every time you go up and get better and better, and talent will get you there. And I wonder sometimes how far that will get you. Meaning, for instance, if you blow up on TikTok and that gets you to the top instantly, is that what it's going to take going forward? Like, is viral nature essential in order to move forward in comedy because that's the only way you're going to get seen? Or does just being fucking awesome eventually get you there?
I think word of mouth is still a big thing, but definitely I think viral is the fast track. Because, I mean, you hear about all these venues that are hiring TikTok stars, but they have no show. They're just an influencer that said, I'm on a hawk tour, and all of a sudden they're trying to give her a sitcom or whatever the fuck they're doing with her. I don't even know, but
yeah. I mean, there's an opposite spectrum too, where they're, maybe they're working comedians and they happen to go viral. Like, for instance, Jimmy Cash, who I'm working with at the end of the month. He is a viral TikTok star he worked at a school and he blew up because of it. And he was a stand-up comedian before that, which is why he's very good now and he's able to capitalize on that. But yeah, he's selling out everywhere that he's going. He's got a show at the Wilbur in February, and it's, you know, he blew up on TikTok. That's amazing. And I mean, it's just incredible to have that avenue now where you can maybe find a niche of something that no one else is doing, and because you can get it out there on TikTok, you can, you know, do the fucking Wilbur. But I don't know. We're old, right? So you feel like you want to fit into the mold, not break the mold. You just want to be like, well, what if I'm just good and I just go to shows all the time? And I crush, isn't that enough to make me, you know, get to whatever level I want to get to? I don't know. Maybe not. I'm veering off topic here, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting thinking about how the word of mouth might work too. Because we've talked about that. I forget who it was, but how many comedy shows is the average individual going to? Because I know before this, for us, I wasn't going to a ton. I was never going to local ones. I know that. I was going when the big guys came around.
Yes. How many people are going to local comedy shows?
I also don't know that I realized that there were really local comedy shows going on. And then that comes down to the advertising we were talking about. No, like, it's all on Facebook. And if you're not hitting the algorithm to see those, you're not going to.
You'll know that the Kowloons exist. You'll know that Giggles exists and all that stuff. But, you know, that's almost peripheral. You don't know that there's the bar that you have has a comedy night on Tuesdays or something that you can go to, or Saturday show every once in a while. Yeah, it is interesting. But the shows are filling up, you know. We put tickets out there, and like you said, 70 tickets plus were sold.
Yeah.
So people are wanting to go to these shows. There's an appetite for them. It just has to, when there's an appetite, there becomes a glut. And when there's a glut, there becomes a decrease in quality. So it's really key that that's really the point of this, is we're trying to tell people, because we know you're going to produce shows out there, but do it right, please. God damn it, do it right.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought of it too. It's like, there's so many comics and shows are very popular right now, so there are going to be more shows. But that also means there's going to be shitty shows, which means that people are going to go to some of those shitty shows and go, you know what, I'm not going to go to local comedy anymore because it was shitty. So I think it's going to be this ebb and flow.
Definitely.
Wow, that's kind of like paradoxical almost, right?
Well, that's why you got to go to shows before you put on a show. I know that we're giving you kind of an idea of what we did to put on a show, but we, instead of just starting out with a speaker and an amp and going, yeah, we can figure this out, we did co-production with 2 different companies before we went out on our own. So we were making sure that we were starting off the show, watching exactly how our producer did it, then doing a show with them behind the scenes and physically seeing how they did it, and then only doing half of the work to make sure that we can consider half, and then we started going on the full show. So we did the full ladder of what you need to do to put on a show properly. And you know what, to be honest with you, if we didn't do that, do the show on Wednesday, motherfuckers. Do the show on Tuesday. Plenty, you guys can do as many of those as you want. The Shaskeen in Manchester, I hope I'm saying that right. Shaskeen. Every Wednesday they do shows in the afternoon on Wednesday nights, and that's a fucking amazing show to go see. And they fill up all the time, so you can do shows during the week too. And if you're gonna fuck around, don't do it on a night where you can take tickets away from real performing shows. Thursday through Sunday.
Those are the nights that if you're not putting on a high quality show, or at least trying to, those are the nights you should be going to watch them to see how it's done. In my opinion, I think that's, and there's also good networking there too. But
no, you should go see fucking Christine Hurley if you're not goddamn up there, and see how bad you are in comparison. Just be able to go. It was so, because if you do showcases a lot, you're going to be in the realm of the people who are exactly where you're at. So, you're going to feel confident or not confident, but you're going to be in the range of your classmates. It's really nice to see an upperclassman absolutely show you how it's done every once in a while. Because no matter how good we think we are, there is a echelon well above us that is worth watching and learning from, because you may think
Yeah.
that you're good and you can kill for 5 minutes. When you see somebody that can kill for 45 minutes, you realize it's a different game.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're still wearing baby booties over here. We're doing okay for where we are, but fuck, you go do a show and you do okay, and then watch Steve Bjork fucking murder. That's very humbling.
Yeah, but I mean, that's why we're lucky to work with Steve every once in a while. We can fucking see how if we see someone do like, to say the same a half an hour that we saw Steve do 4 or 5 times because we worked with him so much. I've never seen him actually physically do the same half hour, because he adapts to every show that he does. He always changes. Sometimes do no microphone. We did a show with him, a benefit with Mike K a couple weeks ago at a Polish American club, and they had the dance floor. Don't put chairs on the dance floor, they said, because it'll scratch our dance floor. So they parted the seas like Moses and put people on both ends of the fucking room and left the middle open. So we just stood on stage because we're dumbasses, and we just tried to talk to both sides of the room. We had to work really hard for it. Steve walks down to the dance floor and perfectly parts them, stands in the center of them, and murders, because he has experience. So that's why you should go watch those people. You will learn something.
Yeah, and that seems like something so simple. Like if he almost turned it in the round, almost. That was so incredible to watch that.
I know, wasn't that nice? Now, here's the thing, though. This is going to be controversial, and you might disagree with me. I don't really want you to come support our shows if we're doing a showcase. Like, if we're doing like our random, like if we're doing the Fletcher Club, you're not like sure, if you want to learn how to produce a show, we'd love to have you and all that. We'll take care of comics, all that kind of crap, blah, 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 blah. But we're your classmates. You're going to learn from us. You're going to kind of be in the range that we're in for it. We're not going to go like if we're friends with somebody and we really want to support them just for that person because we love them so much, sure. But we're not going to random showcases to learn anything anymore. That's not really what it's going on. Go see the pros we have a show where we're hiring Lenny Clark on there. Then you come support the show because you're going to get something out of it. You're going to fucking walk out of there and learn something new. But you got to, these weekend shows that you're going to, instead of going to an open mic during the week, maybe you go to a show because you can either get on or learn something. Make it, selfish. You got to learn something at the show. You got to get something out of it if you're going to take a Saturday night out of the way. So, be strategic on it. And when you put on shows, you shouldn't be trying to only get comics to go support it, because then you're just going to do an open mic in another venue. You got to sell tickets.
That's essentially all it is. Yeah.
We see those all the time.
Comics. Yep.
Yeah, you go to a show and you're like, hey man, I really appreciate you putting on a show here, but the audience is your friends. So I know that you didn't really market it. You just told your friends to come.
Yep.
Because I don't know if you agree with this, but since we started doing more shows in January, like real shows, from March to January and then January to now, I exponentially got better. Just because I got in front of real crowds.
Yep, definitely. I just over a couple months, I had somebody that was at the show on Saturday, and then he was at a show of mine a couple months ago. And he was like, dude, it was so much more comfortable, so much more natural, just in a couple months. And I do attribute that to being able to be in front of real people more, And obviously just getting up more, whether it's open mics or not. But I think there's a difference when you're doing it in front of real people, and that practice is I don't know. It's just different. I think it's more beneficial.
Well, I think there's a benefit of the doubt that you get more when you're doing a real show in front of real people, where they're going, oh, you are a professional here to do this thing. I'm going to trust you to do it for me. And when they're trusting of you, you have a lot higher chance of getting your jokes to work if they're any good. So that's why I think, when you're working in open mics, don't be discouraged if there's a joke that you think is really good that isn't hitting there, because you never know till you get it out into real people. It might absolutely crush.
There's another thing there too. There's a huge difference when you do a show in front of real people and they're all belly laughing. You get a different energy than when you're practicing at an open mic and you get some chuckles because everybody's comics and like, oh, okay, I see what you did there. That's funny. But that energy when you have a room full of real people who don't want to be where you're standing, but they're all belly laughing, you get like that glow. You know what I mean? You get that I'm fucking killing it, and I think that also helps with your energy and your motivation to do even better as your set goes on.
Oh yeah, if you're telling a
and I
story
think
to
that
your
stuff-
friends.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just like that also helps. So when you have those nights and you watch back and you're like, okay, when I had that energy, I did this and I did that. I said it like this. I said it like that. I hand it up. I got to do that every single time. And that's one of the things that we talked about with Steve Bjork, and I've really been trying to do. And we can talk about this at probably the next episode. It's what Steve said was giving the show to an audience of 2 people, just as if there were 200. And I did a show where there was 2 people last week, and I did my best to do that, and it paid dividends. Those 2 people had a good time. We can talk about that in the next episode, but
But it is a huge lesson that I think you learned in the last couple weeks. Because a couple weeks ago, there was a room that had a good amount of people that I feel like you gave, and you would say the same. I think gave a
I'll
performance
tell you,
like there was 2 people.
it was the
So it's opposite.
it was the Steve Bjork one, and
Yeah.
that's why I was so disappointed in myself that night, because he gave us that advice, and then that night I gave up because my first couple jokes didn't land like they normally do, and I was just like, oh, fuck me, I don't know what I'm doing here, and I immediately just blamed the crowd. And when I got off stage and watched Steve, I was like, man, he's right. It's not the crowd. It's always you.
It's always you.
So that would be a nice episode, like really hammering that home and looking back at some things. But
Yeah, well, we got to do a bombs episode again because you had that, and then I had my Hartford fucking nightmare.
yeah,
The nightmare in Hartford.
yep.
I'm going back to Connecticut, everybody. I'm going back, and I am going.
It's a weird brag.
Well, no, because I ate so much shit in Connecticut. I'm going back to get them. Because right now, if you asked me, what's the worst state to do comedy in, I'm going to say Connecticut because I only went there once and I ate shit. So I'm going to be like, fuck them, they're horrible. I'm blaming the crowd. But I'm going back again in November, and they're going to be great. You're going to be great, Connecticut. You're going to be fucking great for me because then I will love you again. I'm easy. I'm bandwagony for everything in life. If you are bad, I hate you. If you're good, I love you. Easy, right?
Very easy.
Yeah, people that watch I may love football. And in my heart, I do love the Patriots. But it's only because they have potential right now because they have Drake May. When they don't, I hate them. I'm a bandwagon fan. Get away from me if you're bad at things. If you get bad at comedy, Wayne, I will drop you off this podcast. Open mic pain with Anthony and Anthony. It won't rhyme anymore.
I don't think you could drop me.
I don't know how to drop you.
Yeah.
So there's that. I wouldn't be able to record it. I don't know how to log into this thing.
It's true.
I would record it on my iPhone, and then I would
And then
upload
you'll
it.
send it to me and go, edit, please.
Yeah, exactly. I would send it like that, no punctuation. Edit now, and then yeah, I would get it back, and it would just be a split screen version of the same thing. You lazy bitch.
Oh, the split screen, dude. Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm loving the split screen.
Yeah, I bet you are. But it's making it a lot easier, and I appreciates that at every moment I'm on camera, so I can't pick my nose off the side or anything like that.
Yeah, it does suck because I mean, inside baseball here. We initially started doing that because like we were doing some like heinous shit when we weren't on screen. But it takes so goddamn long to do that. I've cut it down by like 70%.
I know.
Editing.
The
And
last
I just
episode,
can't.
I gotta call you out. The last episode should have definitely been a switcher between the two of us
Why is that?
because you were extremely distracted with your dogs the whole time and your phone. So to have you to be able to be off camera while I was talking, not looking down the whole time or at the dogs the whole time, I think would have been better for the episode.
Yeah, probably. You wouldn't have known that if you listened to the episode, though. I did edit. I mean, you did see me look over to the side, but
No, I heard the dogs for a lot of the end of the episode.
all right. All right.
It's okay. Hey, we're past it. We're in a new universe. I'm just saying you're a lazy, dumb piece of shit. And it's a worthy step for the Quest for Laughs.